winner. You guessed it, none other than the Wilpons themselves.
Of course, number one was going to be nothing else but Bernie Madoff and the Wilpons and the Ponzi scheme that brought us really to where we are right now with Steve Cohen.
Well, Bernie made off with a ton of money, but he actually had some prison time, and the Wilpons look like they got away scot-free because they settled on only $162.
It's amazing. They were getting sued for $300 million. They claimed they didn't know anything about it despite making a ton of money during those years, and now you get scot-free with $162 million. It's a lot of money, but really for them, and all things considered, not a bad deal.
To get at that $300 million in principal, Picard has to prove the Mets owners knew about the fraud and ignored it anyway.
The Mets owners will pay $162 million to Madoff's victims. Payment to the trust will begin in 3 years. The trustee for Madoff's fraud victims claimed the Mets owners knew Madoff's investment scheme was a fraud, but continued investing because they were making a lot of money.
That was good. That was very good. Now, I am very, very pleased for not only for ourselves, but for our families to get litigation behind us. We never had much litigation in our entire career, so this was something unusual for us. And I too want to second Saul and Bob's. I want to thank everybody because this was really a so-called team effort.
That says it all. There's a guy you could tell who really cares deeply.
I've never seen someone so cool and calm when being interviewed after being sued for $300 million and still having to pay out $162. He doesn't seem to care at all.
Cool, calm, and you know who collected? Him. Because you know he made money on this. I mean, he was trying to act like the victim, like, you know, he's one of the people. Turns out, you know, Bernie made off with all that money. He made off with all that money, only had to pay $162. Come on.
He's talking about how they haven't had to deal with much litigation in their careers. And now all of a sudden at the end of that, he's getting sued for all this money. Doesn't even really care. Doesn't seem to worry about it. Just washed right off his back. But really, who cared the most? The Mets fans, because we got screwed when this team couldn't spend money on seemingly anybody for years and years.
Yeah, we definitely bore the cost. There's no question about it. The Wilpons actually, in the settlement, didn't have to pay to another 3 years, which turns out 2015, ironically, we're in the World Series. But who knows? Maybe we could have had a bigger payroll if it wasn't for this. So it directly affected the organization. There's no question about it.
Because number one, Bernie Madoff is the whole reason we're where we are right now with Steve Cohen owning the team. It's the reason they ended up having to sell. They just were too strapped for cash. Apparently 162 hit him a little deeper in the pockets than they thought.
Yeah.
And now it's time to celebrate the Steve Cohen era. He's here. The disasters are finally over.
Yeah, it's all behind us.
But wait! There's more!
Thought this was over.
No, it's not over. Just when you thought the Wilpons are gone. It's a new dawn, new era. Wrong again. This continues. Just to hear this in the middle of the night, Ryan.
I can't believe Jared Porter getting fired. Very reminiscent of Beltran last year. Very reminiscent of Willie Randolph getting fired in the middle of the night. And you just don't even know what to say anymore. This team couldn't even possibly predicted this. Look, the Mets did the right thing, and this is not their fault. But of course, another black cloud has to hang over this team for something that they can't even prevent.
Look, it has nothing to do with them, but everything to do with them at the same time, because it is one of their guys. Just hired him just when you thought we were moving on, we were getting a GM finally. Now it goes back to Stanley Ellerson, who I think was a GM the whole time anyway.
And just like with Beltran last year, this is something that didn't happen on the Mets or to the Mets, but yet the Mets are the one paying the repercussions.
Look, another PR disaster. We surprised ourselves. But for more news, for more things Mets, check us out again. This is Steve, Ryan, Baseballed, and we're out.
Baseballed out.